and we do experience design. We, for work for brands like Red Bull and GE and Tazo, and we come up with crazy ideas, or some people come to us with crazy ideas, and we help produce them. And we've been kind of at that for about 10 years now, and so we're definitely familiar with what you all do, and at the end of projects we have all this awesome stuff left over sometimes, and like what happens with all the awesome stuff, like somebody should use the awesome stuff. So the deconstruction kind of goes back a little bit, before New Creatures even started, around 2006, 2007, I think, when the last giant recession was. I was totally out of work and had no money and no anything really, and we kind of designed this game called the Deconstruction, and it was just amongst like a group of friends, to see that what we could make with the coolest things we can make with the least amount of new resources and money spent, because we didn't have any money to spend. And it all kind of just goes back to punk rock DIY ethos and all that stuff too. But like, it was the first time we actually formally like made it a game, and the first one we just kind of tested it with friends, and we were like, oh, we could do this bigger and with more people. So we did the event again, and we kind of started bringing in this online component, and what it basically is a 48-hour creative, almost like retreat, excuse to make a thing, excuse to collaborate with people. It's funny because in our industry, we kind of all endemically do that for work all the time. But it's also just kind of like bringing in some of the stuff that we probably all know, and pushing it out to the rest of the world. And so we tried this online event, and it was in 2012, and we had, I think, like 100 teams all over the world, and everyone live streamed themselves, and we kind of created this online show in real time, and we actually had no idea if it was going to actually work, and had some real doubts on if it would actually work. And basically over that 48 hours, these 100 teams all around the world, basically we're just making different projects, and then we would bring them into the central feed, and they would talk about what they were doing and what they were, kind of deconstructing, this idea of rethinking objects and ideas. And it actually worked. This will be the 4th time we've done it. The last time we did it was in 2016, before the last general election, and we did the topic of Deconstruct America, which was really awesome. We had people doing songs, or making objects, or making art pieces. A bunch of groups got together and did this giant collaborative connected Rube Goldberg chain reaction around America, which was really, really cool. It started in Oakland, and then at the end of this chain reaction Rube Goldberg thing, it pushed a button on a computer, and then it went to Phoenix, Arizona, and there was this reaction, and then a ball hit a sensor, and it started this thing in Georgia, and then went to Detroit, and they blew up a house, like an old house, which was amazing. It was a real, like, I don't know, highlight of my kind of, I don't know, creative life in a way. It was just this great mixture of a really compelling, cool thing to watch, and like a really punk rock message. And yeah, just it's super like collaborative, cool thing. Um, and then we kind of, it's been one of those projects that like just comes around when it's time for it to come around. And really, you know, I'd say like when all this started, you know, work kind of slowed down for new creature stuff, and you know, we're like, all right, well, this is time to bring back the deconstruction and do a real kind of, you know, community event and an open, free, you know, experimental thing, and let's try some different stuff this time. So, you know, our big push for this one is to get more and different kinds of people involved. We're really pushing to get high school students involved with this one. We think it could be a super awesome platform for students, you know, that are home from school, and also I think just the idea of teaching young people about creative reuse and being resourceful with what you know, with objects and money and, you know, all those things. You know, that's not totally taught. We'll see, you know, what people are probably going to start picking up on it soon though. But yeah, so it's you know, we basically pulled this event together again in 3 weeks. I think we've got about 50 teams signed up around the world right now, all across the board. You know, people that are just super experienced makers of things, and people that have probably just, you know, you know, maybe they make some stuff, but you know, not professionally. And I think it's, you know, we've kind of just created this event and rule set in a way that hopefully it just allows everyone to like participate in this thing on the same level. So yeah, it's been a real, it's been a wild ride. It's a lot of like technology and stuff to figure out with all the live streaming. And we're basically going to be running this giant studio that we used to have a whole bunch of people helping out with, you know, kind of friends of what we usually do. But now it's going to be my partner Dana and I, and learned a lot of new skills. Yeah, it's going to be, you know, a really awesome weekend. It's all really about deconstructing distance this year. So that's the topic. So, you know, it's people creating things that rethink the idea of distance or bring people closer in some sort of meaningful way. You know, the best we can now. The other thing we're trying with this time is, you know, there's been this interesting phenomenon in social life, like, and what's going on right now, where, you know, some people are together and then some people are you know, living alone in an apartment. And so we're kind of offering, and a lot of people are kind of taking us up on this, to do this matchmaking this year. So you can register as an individual, and then we just like hook you up with the person that we think would be great. And then, you know, collaborate and do a project together, and we'll see how that works. Yeah, so that's yeah, my intro on the deconstruction. And yeah, I would love to just hear some thoughts from y'all, and specifically around if there are any resources of how we can get this into teachers' hands and schools' hands. That's just a nut we've been trying to crack for a while, and I think we're getting there. It's interesting. There's no centralized resource for teachers and even art teachers. I mean, it's amazing how disbanded it all is.
To kind of go off with your teacher idea. So my mom is actually a high school microbiology teacher. I mean, I feel like you can definitely do some like science experiments with that. So I can talk to her about it. And also, I am good friends with my high school English teacher, who's like all about Shakespeare and like super artistic, goes to Burning Man every year and like is like a real burner. He's not like, you know, the ones who go there just to party. And so I definitely can contact him and get kind of his take on it, because I know that they're still working with their students and they're still trying to find ways to teach their kids, you know, while this is all happening. It's really hard with the systems that they have in place with that. I'm also friends with an art teacher here in Texas. So I can definitely spread the word with that. My question was, so when you go on as an individual and join the Deconstruction Project, you were kind of talking about how you want to match people with other people. So how would they kind of collaborate? Is it like you're just matching their skills together, or kind of like their location and where they are, what they do, or what are you thinking with that? If you have an idea yet.
Yeah. I think we're gonna just match them up skill set wise and level of ability. And I think it'll be kind of random in a lot of ways too. And, you know, and hopefully, you know, people are wonderful and gracious and you know, if they're more experienced, you know, they help that person along and yeah, so that part of it is definitely an experiment. I mean, I think the way that, you know, people would collaborate with each other in different places is really just kind of how we're doing it now, and all the other you know, platforms that are out there. So, you know, it could be some you know, someone making a thing in one place and someone else like writing code for the thing in some place, or just a, you know, a kind of collaborative, you know, illustration project. It's really it's a fun it's a funny project because we try to do the thing with as few rules as possible, but with enough form to keep people from like losing their minds. Yeah, and there's really no specific skills, you know, required. It's totally multi-medium, multi-skill level. Yeah, it's really, you know, in the end, we kind of do this as like a uncompetition in a way, where we do awards at the end, and basically the participants vote on who they think should get the awards, and we're going to basically be doing a cash donation to a relief organization of that team's choosing. So whoever wins. So there's 3 participation categories this year. There is family, which are parents with younger kids. There's student, which is high school and middle school. And then there's everyone, and everyone is everyone. So it's really just kind of, you know, people just pick yeah, they just pick the category they want and roll with it. There are no, people can do it still as individuals. That's definitely something we talked about at the beginning, and actually we got some feedback, and some interesting feedback on the forum from one guy specifically that was he's a musician, and he's like, you know, it's funny, like I've been doing more online collaborations over the past month and a half than I have, like, you know, in the past however many years. And he's like, I'm actually kind of looking forward to just trying to do a project by myself, which was really weird. I kind of thought that would be sort of like the opposite, but yeah, you never know. Yeah, and then the process of signing up is pretty simple. You just go to the website. We've got a form. It outputs to the Google form. If folks want to be matched up with other people, then we just kind of do that on the back end with our giant supercomputer that spits out all these, you know, the different names and all that. We'll probably like put people in a hat. Anyone else? Anyone have any questions or yeah, also ideas to share. I would love, you know, if you have thoughts on how we can do this better, get more people involved. I'd love to hear.
Can I go? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, just let's see, a couple quick questions. I do have a friend who is an art teacher in Brooklyn. We went to high school together. So
Sweet.
as a kid who's 7, so she would love, he's an aspiring drummer, the kid, and she's basically got a ton of students, so I can ask her to get involved. What would you think about branding? Is there any branding, like, I've worked with so many clients and it's so many creative people, and we are all some of us are associated with, you know, like a Bergdorf or like a store. Do you want to stay away from branding completely?
No, I think in the past, like people's companies have done teams together and things like that. Yeah, it's totally fine. It's an interesting thing, you know, on our end. You know, we do all these kind of like brand related projects for work. And this one has just never had any like brands involved. And we actually reached out to some of the folks that we worked with in the past and just to see if they wanted to do prizes, and it didn't pan out, which is fun, which is cool. I mean, it's for us, it's really nice to have a project that like is totally pure, and we have no accountability to anyone but the participants.
Right. Okay, so like this is just an example, but I have a friend that passed away. He used to work at Trash and Vaudeville. Some of you know him, and he had a store called I Need More, and he was an icon in the East Village of somebody who, you know, did amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to memorialize him maybe, but would I be able to say to the I Need More people who are now like, they're left with their owner passed away. They put up signs saying we're trying to reorganize. So I think somebody like them would be like, you know, really, there's a Bergdorf level I could do, but I'm more like underground punk rock kind of. So, you know, if I were to say I Need More wants to help out and maybe, so that kind of stuff is okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Like all languages are welcome. I mean, like it just seems like it's all open and broad, so which I absolutely love. But I just wanted to like reiterate that like you have no language barriers, there's no medium barriers, like it's really a free-for-all.
It's as close to a free-for-all, a creative free-for-all as we could do while like holding it together. Yeah, it's interesting. We actually haven't had any significant language barriers in the past, but that we know of. And it's possible that you know, there are people that haven't participated because you know, everything's in English on the website, and but we've tried to be pretty smart about just you know, using international times. There are ways to kind of submit to the final show and tell at the end if it happens to be in the middle of the night. You know, a couple of years ago we did one. We had this like really amazing family in Australia that did it with their young kids, and yeah, and they were, you know, checking in, and then we do a final show and tell at the end, and yeah, realized like, oh yeah, it's actually like 3 in the morning there. So Yeah, so they sent in a video. So that's part of the final show and tell too. If people can't be around for the final show and tell, you know, really the final thing that participants in the deconstruction do is just make a very short video about their project. That usually has to be in after the event ends, and that's how we send it out to everyone so they can see what everyone made, and that's how we do our judging. But people can just, you know, submit that video on Sunday too if they can't be up for it. But yeah, I mean, it basically, the official window starts at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday. And then we're kind of opening with this live stream show, and we're going to be kind of explaining the concept and talking to some past participants. And yeah, just kind of framing it all. And then from there on, it's we'll have other kind of live streamed programming moments and conversations, but it's people drop in and out of what they, you know, what they are up for and can do. The other thing that we're going to try, I would love to get everyone's thoughts on this, but we're going to kind of put it out there to the community doing the project and say, hey, if anyone has kind of skills they want to share, or you know, or some sort of class they want to teach during the event, post it here, and we'll, you know, kind of put it out there. So kind of, we'll see if it works. Like the idea of having, you know, people who want to do it, you know, can do these kind of mini classes and skill shares during the event too. Because man, people have really like stepped up their game on that on that front. There's some like really impressive online classes going on. And I think that feels good for everyone in a way. You know, it feels good for people to learn new skills, but it also feels good to be a person with a lot of skills and sharing those skills, especially maybe when you're not actively like using your tools as much as like, you know, you want to and usually do. So hopefully that's helpful on 2 levels.
Well, that's all super awesome. Does anybody else have any remaining questions, or should we all just run and go sign up immediately?
I mean, would love to have y'all involved, and yeah, and if there's anyone definitely in your worlds that could use like a creative intervention with or without people they know, with people they know or people they don't know, or people, you know, are just on their own. Yeah, please share it with them. We'd really appreciate that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if there's not any more like last minute questions, then we can just kind of wrap it up. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing this project with us. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited for it. Kind of like getting my gears grinding already, and so I'm sure that's how everyone is feeling right now. It's just kind of inspired creatively. So thank you so much for providing this project for us and providing this info session for us as well.
Yeah, thank you all. It's been nice to talk about it. And yeah, thanks for the ideas and feedback too. Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything before we sign off? Nina, did you have anything that maybe any more information or?
No, I posted on, and if anyone wants to reach out.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just great chatting with you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. All right.